barricades whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall, one wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know why I'm here today? It's not because I want to give you a pep talk or because I want to make you feel good about yourselves. No, I'm here to tell you the truth.
All right, welcome everybody. Let's see if we've got sound. Somebody give me a one, make sure that everything's plugged in right and we have great audio and all those good things, and then we'll get started. Got a small, excellent, got a one already. So small, intimate gathering to start. A lot of stuff's going on. In America, of course, it's the night before Thanksgiving. A lot of people start their travel plans tonight, heading out of town, trying to get to family in time for Thanksgiving. So this is a big travel day for people in America, at least. I know that we have an international audience. So for those people from Australia and stuff like that, you're like, I don't give a shit about Thanksgiving. So thanks for coming and hanging out with us. And I know Australians tend to like true crime, perhaps more than Americans. So it's very cool. And we can all hang out together. And of course, there are plenty, I'm sure, of Americans who are stopping by, and some people are in here doing their best to do what they can before they have to do other things. And of course, there's other shows going on because we're always competing all the time with other channels at prime time, because this is prime time in the United States. So wanted to say hi to some people in the show again. This time, it's funny because Penny keeps trying to make it to be first in the show, it seems like, and she's always late. So Penny got first credit for being first to the show tonight. You had to get here. Oh my gosh, did you have to get here like an hour and 15 minutes early to be here early? But anyways, Penny made it early. Essie has made it to the house. Essie would normally, it makes it in first. So look at that competition going on. Essie got beat by Penny by a little bit tonight. So Robin's backstage. We got Estes Crime Maze. Jason Estes backstage as well. We will probably have at least a brief appearance from Joe from State of the Deep. He'll probably come in here about a half hour into our show. Unfortunately, our law enforcement advisor from New York, or consultant, is sicker than a dog. He seems to be getting worse minute by minute. So what a horrible way for him to go into the holiday season with the sickness. So he's down and out. We won't be seeing him tonight, I don't think. But again, other than that, we should have a relatively normal panel. I want to say, with the lower viewership, with people not, on travels with that, this is a great, again, opportunity for you to get on stage and ask questions. So again, I invite you to do so. I'll post a link into the chat so that you have an opportunity to come backstage. And the way that would work is you just simply click on that link, or cut and paste that link, or type that link if you have to into your browser. If you have a microphone hooked up to your PC, or if you're on your phone, it should use your microphone there. Super easy to do. You can choose to keep your camera off if you don't want to be on TV or on YouTube or whatever you want to call it. And you can just do that, or you're free to share your microphone as well. So this is a great opportunity for you to do so. I'm being a little ginger at the moment. I had a tooth ripped out of my face today, probably the first, I think, extraction I can really remember. I had a molar removed today. So I've got a gaping hole in the side of my face that I'm well aware of. The pain level's fine and tolerable, but I'm well aware that I have a hole in between teeth that I used to have, and then we're going to have to get that reevaluated later. By the way, I've had, just as an FYI, I've had persistent headaches for about 3 weeks, and I think it might have been in part to do with an infection that had set in deep in the tooth. So now that the tooth's out, the infection will go away. And I kind of feel like maybe it's psychosomatic, but I feel like the headaches might already be kind of clearing up. So maybe I'm lucky, and that was the root, no pun intended, for the root canal that I almost had, of my problem. So let's cross my fingers or cross our fingers or whatever, or I'm going to cross my fingers that the headaches go away with the tooth extraction. So anyways, but I'm feeling really, really good, and I'm not even on painkillers. So no, I'm not buzzed up on painkillers, and I'm not doing whiskey. They told me to avoid that, so you don't, anyways, I'm not going to get into the details, but drinking alcohol is not a good idea when you just had a tooth extracted. Let's just say that. So what's really weird is backstage, I see two of my panelists looking around in the sky like something just happened in both their houses, and they're completely different places. That kind of freaked me out, with both of them looking around like something just, like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, like, woo! There's some strange shit going on over there. So let me just say some quick hellos, and then I'll bring my panelists up, and we'll talk about what I've got on tap. There is some big news, some really big news. Even though we're going to have a small, intimate crowd, there's some big things to talk about. So again, let's see, who do we got? Amanda B, thank you for showing up. Amanda does all the great graphics that you see on screen, and the web design that I'm going to talk about a little bit. Cat Farm says she's holding in for a little bit of time, but she's not sure how long she can be here, so hopefully she gets to stay for a while. If not, thanks for making the valiant effort. You know who loves this when they show up here. Now, Daenerys Stargarex, I feel like that's a Game of Thrones reference, and it's Daenerys or something like that, but maybe it's something else. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. But anyways, that big long name. Well, welcome and hello, everyone. We'll have to get sure whether I'm pronouncing that right or even getting close. Sinful Bitch 420, thank you for coming. Good to see you again. Who else do we have? Sleuther 75, hello. And Troubled Ocean as well. Thank you so much, and good evening to the denizens. I like that. I love that. We started out calling our little chat the den, like the Devil's Den, which is then kind of morphed into we call ourselves the denizens. Like, so the den is full of denizens. It's pretty cool. I don't know if it'll catch on, but it's cool anyways. Sinful Bitch says she's cooking dinner. She's sort of here again. For many of us, this is a time of year when we're going to be busy. Of course, she might just be doing a regular dinner. The big dinner in America is, of course, tomorrow. And that's a whole different freaking ball of wax. Trivia. I keep wanting to tell you trivia about Thanksgiving, and that's not even what we're about. This is a true crime show, so let's stick to true crime. All right, Sleuther in the house. Maybe we already said that. And who else do we got? Anybody else? Anybody else? Looking through some to see if there's other names I didn't catch. Okay, that's pretty much the good names. Let's bring up Robin and Jason Estes, and we'll unmute their microphone. Robin, let's start with you. How was your day? How are things been going? What's been going on today?
Well, it's been a busy day. Hello to Jason. Good to see you. We've been missing you. And of course, hello to you, Lee. Hello to all the denizens out there. It's always wonderful to see you guys, even though we did see some of you earlier today for the premiere with the Custody Queens. So that was
Yeah.
exciting stuff right there.
It was super exciting. I want to talk about that a little bit, but did you see that, Jason? Did you see any of the Custody Queens premiere that we did today, or did you miss that?
No, I didn't. Did it have to do with Brian Koberger in custody, or is it something altogether different?
Well, it did have to do with Brian Koberger, and we did talk about custody, but not the Idaho 4 case and custody related together.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I did not see it, unfortunately.
Well, it was a fantastic thing. I mean, so the Custody Queens, ironically enough, the Custody Queens, they've been making the circuit, so they're going with a lot of people, but they reached out to me a while ago, and we did a pre-recorded show yesterday, and I teased a clip of it on last night's live, but I premiered that today at noon. I went and got my tooth extracted, and so I had gauze in my face. I was puffed up like a puffer fish and couldn't feel half my face, which was good because when we do the premiere, I just do live chat. I don't talk. So I interacted with chat. They were there interacting with chat. It was a 2.5-hour interview. It included I included footage that I had shot, daytime footage and nighttime footage from Moscow when Joe and I went and Rhonda and I went, and it was fantastic. I think it was a great thing. We had a huge turnout. So awesome. Special thanks to the Custody Queens, anybody who got to see that. By the way, if you missed it for some reason, of course, the video is available for you to watch right now on replay. We're also going to premiere it again. So the Custody Queens are going to premiere it on their show on Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'm going to be live on their chat just like they were live on my chat. So they're going to premiere it on their channel, even though it's already available for us on our channel. And then I'm thinking about maybe re-premiering it on Monday because there's so many people who are away for the holidays and traveling right now, just to give another opportunity for both the Custody Queens and myself on our side to do it. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm not sure if you can premiere something twice. Do you know, Robin, can you premiere a video twice, or I'm not even sure how that works.
I think you can. I don't think it prevents you from doing that. And
okay,
you know, like you said, that would give people a second chance to see it with you know, you in the chat and everything. And so yeah, I think that'd be cool.
So that huge long name that I said I don't know how to pronounce, I think that they just confirmed I can just say Star for short. So I'm going to try to remember that. When I see that huge name, it's just going to be Star. Of course, it's Amanda telling me it's okay to say Star. Hopefully they said it was also okay just to say Star. So so let's talk a little bit. Did you have any news, by the way, other than that, Jason? Did you have any special news that happened today that we need to catch up on?
Just saw a UFO and an alien, but and that surprised me because I thought UFOs are all our programs. I've always said you don't need an alien explanation, but I saw an alien today, so I'm hyped up to be on this live with actual human beings. But I wasn't abducted, so that's a good thing, I think.
Damn it, man! I'm super intrigued. Like, it's outside the realm of the show, but I'm super intrigued about. I saw an alien and a UFO, dude. Like, I'm all there. I'm ready to hear that story.
Well, I do have another YouTube channel. I have several YouTube channels. One of them is Jason UFO Authority. Of course, as you know, as we're saying, it's a whole other subject. And I'm going to hopefully get some editing help with the video that I've done, and it's going to blow your minds, I think. But
you know,
all right,
not to twist your arm, but you might have me on as a special guest on that sometime. I love that. I love the topic of UFOs.
Cool.
Not really
excellent.
Not in the realm of the Devil's Advocate show, but I have my own feelings about that topic, so that'd be kind of fun sometime.
Good.
Or at least we can talk
on it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Joe should understand, and you, Lee, that you'll be finding out through me and my research that it is the most important, literally, subject of our times. A little bit even more important than the Idaho 4, but in terms of true crime, this Idaho 4 is up there with the importance of this crime and bringing truth and transparency, as you know, to this just diabolical, crazy case that we're talking about. But I don't think evil, again, conquered that night. But we'll get into it.
Well, fair enough. And to be fair, I could certainly see the logic of why extraterrestrial visitors might be more important than a true crime story. But anyways, we'll put that aside. We'll put that aside for a minute on whether or not there's extraterrestrial visitors or not.
I can't believe I said this on the live tonight. My sister, when she listens to this, she's going to want to know what aliens did you see, Jason? Right? What happened today? And I'll have to explain to her. Oh,
That's
wow.
amazing. I know. I'm dying to know. But anyways,
You will.
let's talk a little bit about removing this from screen and sharing the right screen. That's not what I was going to say, but we're going to do this. We're going to share the screen. We're going to share this screen. So this is my little slideshow that I use. Again, Amanda B does all my graphics lately, and at least 99% of the graphics that you'll see. As a reminder, we're going to do 6 p.m. lives. However, I will say, I think we've decided, Robin and I as co-producer of the show, I think we decided we're going to take Thanksgiving off in America. I realize we do have an international audience, but most of my panel is going to be gone. At least half the panel will be gone, being Americans and having their own family duties to go to. A lot of people in America are going to be traveling. And so it's just all things and I don't know entirely what my plans are going to be. So I just decided, I think we're just going to take the night off. It sucks because I think we need to stay consistent. It's one of the channel's been doing better since we've been doing consistent lives. So there's a part of me that's like, that we want to take a night off and not be consistent, but maybe YouTube will give us a grace for the fact that it's Thanksgiving and be like, that's not going to hurt your numbers too much if you took a night off. But anyways, as I said, Joe from State of the Deep, he was going to take this entire week off, but I think he said that he will try to drop in here in a little bit. So we should hopefully see him. And one is, again, our law enforcement consultant on the show. He's sicker than dog heading into the holidays. So he won't be joining us tonight. Poor guy's really under the weather right now. So hopefully he gets a speedy recovery. Jason, where do you live? Someone said. We are seeing stuff in Pennsylvania too. So are you like East Coast UFOs? Like, did they see the same? Here, we're going to turn this into a UFO show. Right?
Yes, man, I'm in PA. I didn't see an alien today. Dang it.
I know. And you're on the East Coast in Pennsylvania, right? Or area, that same neck of the woods. Yeah. So
I'm in the East Coast Canada for me.
Yeah.
Or sort of East Coast. Yeah.
So if you saw something on the East Coast, that would be relatively same potential. But anyways,
that's right.
Setting that aside, I mean, again, it's a very cool topic, but maybe people are like, what the hell is DA doing? This isn't the UFO. Like, what happened now? Did Idaho 4 be like a bunch of extraterrestrials came in and did it? Is that what happened? You're saying all the bodies got beamed up and it's an extraction removal operation to another planet? Is that what just happened?
Well, there's a lot of people, Lee, there's a lot of people that disappear, believe it or not, and they are going off world. Yeah. We'll get into that on another subject. That is a fact, and I'll back it up with facts too. So.
With receipts, showing receipts.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, reminding you one more time, I'll see if I can post that link. If you have the ability or desire to come up and ask questions, people have done it once. One night we had, it only takes like one person. It feels like other people line up once one person does it. So somebody put on your brave pants and come on to the show with us. The water is fine. Yeah. Did you have a question there, Jason Estes?
Yes, thank you. Just a quick question. My friend Rosie is hoping to come on, if you allow her. And is it okay that she asks a question about Charlie Kirk, or do we wait till we get into discussing the Charlie Kirk case for something like that?
That's a good question. We are going to talk about Charlie Kirk. I've got it in this segment. So if they're specifically wanted to talk Charlie Kirk, maybe tell them to queue up now, and then we'll stick it. We'll just let them know that when it gets to the Charlie Kirk section, that's what we'll bring them up. That'd be the best.
Okay. And she follows the Idaho 4 a little bit. I'm just starting to educate her on the Idaho 4, so she might have a question or statement on the Idaho 4. She's very opinionated, so she might even give her actual opinion on one or more of these cases. Hopefully,
get her in early, and we can.
She's a member, by the way. I think she's joined as a member too. Certainly, that was her intention. She was telling me the other night, so she might have even joined as a member too, which is great.
All right, we'll see how that goes. If they come on sooner, we'll stick them on for both segments.
Great, thanks.
As a reminder, we're overhauling the website. So this is a website redesign here that we're doing. It looks fantastic. Just wanted to give you a kind of a little preview again of what it looks like. And tell you, this is, I'm really big on the interactive timelines. This is an example of the Idaho 4 interactive timeline. I've got 4 columns, for example, that talk about What if Brent Kopacka was involved? That's theory A. What if the ex-boyfriend was involved? That's theory B. What if, Brian Koberger did it and did it alone kind of thing? That's theory C. What if it was a drug hit? That's theory D. Now, those are just the 4 theories that I thought would be, there's more theories I entertain, even Jason Estes' extraction removal operation. It didn't make this table, but we talk about it all the time. We talk about it, though. We talk about it. Though.
That's true. That's true. We do talk about it a lot. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, maybe to be honest with you, it's kind of moving up my list. It is kind of moving up my list. There's some new things that I keep coming back to the drug hit angle, and the more you come up to the drug hit angle, you have to ask yourself, were people actually killed or were they extracted before the drug hit went down?
Exactly. One sec.
So while he's changing microphones, I'll just continue on a little bit because I suppose he doesn't have to hear this part. I want to remind people that I do have, and let me put this on screen, I do have merchandise. And I want to tell you right now, I've decided to do a Black Friday sale, 30% off all my merchandise. So my hoodies that we're selling for like $60 are on sale for 40 something bucks, women's tees, whatever. And because we're going to redesign, we've been redesigning the logo a little bit. We've been leaning into the devils in the details instead of facts over feelings. So this may be what you might call a limited edition run of the first ever merchandise for Devil's Advocates with the facts over feelings and the original logo, which we still use on some things. But if you want to get this merchandise, we're going to sell out what we can. Awesome. If we can't sell it out, we'll start giving it away as some gifts and promos for other nights. But of course, we'd like to sell a few things for the holidays. So if you love the show enough to want to represent us, it's got 30% off of all my merchandise, basically taking out all my profit margin and losing some money when I ship it to you. But whatever the case may be, I'd like to have you go out there wearing my merchandise. So if you want to check that out, now's a good time to do that. And you can see the original prices on the screen were like $59.99 for the midweight full zip hoodie. And now it's on sale for $41.99. So there's good prices all the way across. Everything's on sale. So check that out if you want to get some merch. It should be working fine. If you run into any kind of problems at all on the site, let me know and we can fix it. So here are the 5 cases we talk about in the Devil's Advocates. And again, I play Devil's Advocates with mainstream media narratives, especially when they are not giving somebody the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. As a heads up, holy crap, I'm so freaking excited. This is a teaser. I'm so freaking excited about Luigi Manjoni's case. I've told you before, many people have wondered when I'm going to start talking about Luigi Manjoni. Luigi Manjoni on Monday is going into about 3 days of suppression hearings where they're going to talk about whether the evidence is going to be suppressed against Luigi Manjoni because of a false arrest in Pennsylvania. I 100% believe that there was a false arrest in Pennsylvania. I've given video after video after video. I've spoken probably 6 hours of long form videos on why that was an illegal arrest, breaking down the documents, breaking down the police reports, showing attorneys' opinions, both in Dickey in Pennsylvania as well as Karen Agnifilo in New York, telling you over and over again why that was completely an illegal arrest. I stand by it to this day. That was an illegal arrest. Now we will see what they rule. And here's the interesting thing. I learned something, and I'm going to get into it a little bit more. Well, let's set it aside for the Luigi section, because otherwise I'm going to talk so much about the Luigi case that I won't have anything to talk about when we get to the Luigi case. But anyways, it's big news. Luigi case has big news coming on Monday, and I'm super, super excited about it as well. Let's talk a little bit. We start out with Brian Koberger. And again, these are the cases. I said Brian Koberger is one of the top case. Idaho 4 is still going hot and heavy, believe it or not. Tyler Robinson, the Charlie Kirk case. It really should be called, I need to change the slide. It really needs to say Charlie Kirk because, again, more and more, I really don't believe Tyler Robinson is the shooter. And I think that most people in America are going to learn that quickly. But we'll see. Luigi Manjoni, we just talked a little bit about that. Rex Heuermann, the alleged Long Island serial killer. And oh my gosh, he just had a huge 2.5-hour video breaking down all the lies about the 911 call on the disappearance of Shannon Gilbert that started the whole thing. The disappearance of Shannon Gilbert in 2010 led to the discovery of the Gilgo 4, which then led to the arrest of Rex Heuermann as the serial killer known as the Long Island serial killer. And it all started with Shannon Gilbert. And when you see the lies that have been told to America for over a decade about the disappearance of Shannon Gilbert, it will blow your mind. So I did a whole big video of that. John Ray, an attorney who's been on our show, we had interviews. John Ray is going after Dr. Charles Peter Hackett. Oddly enough, he goes by Peter Hackett and Charles Hackett because his name is Charles Peter Hackett. And I learned that on the fly during the making of the 2-hour audio. Like, why does it say Charles Hackett here and Peter Hackett there? Because his name is Charles Peter Hackett. And depending on what place he's putting his name in, it's Charles Hackett or Peter Hackett. But it's Charles Peter Hackett. Super confusing. Not as confusing as Idaho 4, where there's 2 Ethans and there's 2 freaking Hunters and there's 2 freaking, I don't know, I can't even tell you the number of, 3 Jacks and, forget it. Idaho 4 is really confusing if you want to get into multiple names, especially 2 JDs and 2, anyways, I don't know. Forget it. It's impossible. And then Mickey Steins. We're going to not talk about Mickey Steins. We haven't talked about Mickey Steins for a while. However, I am working on the Mickey Steins case. I've even put in a request for information related to the case, and hopefully we'll get something back from that soon. Let's talk about Brian Koberger a little bit. As a reminder, today I went on with the custody queens. These fantastic ladies, they are certified family custody family lawyers in California. They do custody law in California. They have a show called Custody Queens Off the Clock because, they're full-time attorneys, but when they're not on TV or not in the courtroom, they're doing YouTube now, true crime, and getting into that. So they've been on Bertie Bombshell's show. That's where I first introduced them to them. And then we did a show together, just the 2 of us. It's a 2-hour and something show. I premiered with, so they wanted to talk about footage that I showed from Idaho 4, the drive-through that Joe and I did. Joe from State of the Deep, who, by the way, just joined us backstage. So Joe from State of the Deep and I went to Moscow, Idaho on the 3-year anniversary to the date of the Idaho 4 murders. We drove around Moscow. We put film footage out. There's a lot of footage you haven't seen from Joe and I's original first trip. And then the weekend after that, my wife and I went back up there and got some more daytime footage, and I aired that nighttime and daytime footage with the custody queens. The daytime footage nobody had really seen except for Robin, and so it was really exciting to share that with people. I hope that you get a chance to see it. Let's bring Joe up on stage before we get too far, and I'll take the stamp off of his face so that you can see his lovely mug. There we go. How you doing, Joe?
I'm great. How you guys doing? What's up,
Good.
DA?
Hey, good
What's
to
up,
see ya.
Robin? What's up, SD? What's up, Den?
It's good to see you. I'm glad that you got to stop in. I wasn't entirely sure if we were going to see you this week, so it's good that you stopped in. And I understand. I mean, both you and Jason Estes may or may not be able to stay around for the whole time, but of course you're both welcome to. But Estes said he may have to leave early, and you said you may come in late. So between the 2 of you, we didn't get 100% full coverage, but I love that you're here now. So good to see you. So anyways, we had the custody queens on today. It was a fantastic thing. Again, the video that we did is still available now for you to watch. It premiered today. I think we had like 700 people watching the premiere. Lots of interaction in the chat. It was very, very cool. And then the custody queens want to premiere it on their channel, the same video, but premiere, meaning the custody queens and I will all be in the live chat when they show it to their audience on Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then I may premiere it one more time at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday after people get back from the holidays in America, because a lot of people are traveling and maybe didn't get a chance to see either one of those premieres. So I'm just going to give people a chance because I think it was that cool. I think the discussion was that cool. We talked a lot of law. We talked a lot about the differences between family custody law and criminal law and murder cases. We talked about their opinions of Ann Taylor and Hippler, the judge, how they think it would have gone differently if a different attorney or a different judge was in place. We talked a lot of really cool things of a legal perspective, and then we broke down footage of which the girls were like, holy crap, when you look at this video, it puts a whole new light on everything. And I hope that you get that impression too when you see the footage. I know a lot of you already got that feeling when you saw Joe and I doing it at night. You're like, wow, even at night, you could tell that place was super tight, as we said. Tighter
and DA, I think like even when we filmed it, it doesn't come across on camera how close together everything is. It's crazy how different it looks in person.
It is. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, people are saying they can see it on our camera, but I don't think they fully appreciate it because even when I'm looking at it and they're saying, wow, it is a lot tighter, and you're thinking like, no, it's even tighter than it looks on camera because I was there, and it's even tighter when you're there in person.
And you know what? The biggest thing, because I watched all the videos you posted so far, the biggest thing that, in my opinion, is different than on camera is how close Sigma Chi is to the road.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
right there in person, but on
Yeah.
the camera, it looks like it's way further back.
Yeah, the Banfield is way closer to the crime scene than I ever imagined. The Whites, which is mentioned a lot in Howard Bloom's When the Night Comes Falling, is right on top of the neighborhood. It's like touching the property. Everything that you've heard about, Linda Lane Apartments, the Queen Apartments, they're all touching that property. I mean, it's not like they're in separate locations and somebody came from a long ways away to them. They're all touching it. Everything there is touching each other. It's just super.
And can I ask the undercover cops, you know, some of them that we saw that night and probably the nights leading up to, was that tight in terms of, were they pretty close to those buildings, you know, where the so-called crime took place?
For sure. Very close. Very close. In fact, it goes along with that idea that somebody said, I don't know if it was you or somebody, but somebody said, if those cops knew something was going on, they would have a reason to be in the neighborhood near that house. And then when they see these kids coming in the middle of what could be an operation, they're like, hey, what are you doing? Because they literally could have been containing the neighborhood. That's how close they were to the scene. They literally could have been keeping an eye on the neighborhood. And we're like, what's the hell are these kids coming up in the middle of our operation? Because we're containing. That's an argument that could be made, is we're containing the neighborhood. It was that tight.
Yeah, I like that. For sure they were.
So I wanted to talk about some stuff that I heard. I was listening to Pavarotti do a rant about some things, and I don't want to go too far on Pavarotti's rant, but it was one of those things that when he said something, it led to another thought in my head, and it led to another thought in my head. And that was this. Dylan at one point told a police officer that Kaylee was on the second floor, that the bedroom next to hers, that was Kaylee, where they were going to find there. And they quickly found out that wasn't where Kaylee was at. That was Xana. And they corrected it. And they actually kind of blew it off as if Dylan got it wrong, that Dylan must have said something wrong or they understood something wrong. But her initial statement was Kaylee was on the second floor. Then it got to dawning on me. Steve Gonsalves made the famous phrase, he didn't have to go upstairs. He didn't have to go up the stairs. He said it multiple times. And we know Dylan said that Kaylee came down the stairs. So was Kaylee on the second floor? And is there a scenario? I just thought, is there a scenario where the killer came in to kill Xana and Kaylee came down the stairs and surprised him and ran back up the stairs? But because Kaylee perhaps wasn't the target, maybe Xana was, that's why Steve said he didn't have to go up the stairs. There was no reason for him to go chase down Kaylee and kill Kaylee because he wasn't there for Kaylee. He was there for somebody else. So is there any scenario in which that makes sense? That Xana was the target, Kaylee came down, accidentally surprised the killer or in the middle of the attack, and then he followed her back up the stairs instead of the opposite, what they tell her on Dateline. On Dateline, they want to tell us the killer went in to kill Maddie and Xana came up the stairs and he chased Xana back down the stairs into her room. What if it happened the other way? What if the killer, and I realized Jason Estes like, well, nobody was actually killed that night. It was all an extraction, but just hear me out. Is it possible the killer came in on the second floor, went straight to Xana's room, and Kaylee came down the stairs and caught the killer, and he chased her up the stairs, and that's why Steve said he didn't have to go up the stairs. He didn't have to go up the stairs. So I have to wonder. It just made me rethink it. What do you guys think about that scenario? If you could put that aside, your own thoughts aside for a minute, is that even a plausible scenario?
If you believe Steve G, then I think reason, logic, common sense would infer that could have happened. Sorry, Ron, go ahead.
Oh no, that's quite all right. Go right ahead, Jason.
No, I'm going to talk more later. What was on your mind, Rob?
No, I think that's entirely plausible. You know, it would make perfect sense as far as his, you know, cryptic comment that way, that he didn't have to go upstairs. Maybe she never even, you know, made it all the way up there, depending on how fast the perpetrator was. I know she was found upstairs, but was she really found upstairs? We have really no proof of that.
That's another.
So
that's another
we're not sure exactly where she was found at this point.
And I want to highlight. I know I didn't give a chance for Joe to comment yet, but I want to highlight what Cat Farm said. That would imply that Steve knew they were there for Xana. And I have said for a while that I think law enforcement knew a hit was coming on that house. I think they knew ahead of time that a hit was coming on that house. So yes, maybe somebody did tell Steve, look, they're coming to kill Xana. and they know that they're coming to kill Xana. So maybe somebody could have tipped off Steve behind the scenes. Like, look, we know what happened that night. A hit was coming. They were coming to kill Xana. And unfortunately, your daughter got down there and got caught in the middle of it and ran up the stairs, and they chased after her and killed her too, which pisses him off because he's like, somebody tell the actual story what happened. He didn't have to go up the stairs after her. Again, I'm just trying to logic it through. Would it make sense? And you're right, Jason S. It goes to the you believe what Steve Gonsalves says, and how do you believe half the things he says when he changes his story like every other day? But Joe, I want to hear your thoughts on that theory.
Yeah, well, Cat Farm kind of took some of the words out of my mouth. Couple
Damn
of
it.
things, but early on in the case, there was the whole issue of Xana's parents, with drug-related things, and I think that may have been what he was implying. Now, if you question the official narrative, he could have been saying that because he knows that information is out there about her parents and drugs, and so he kind of fed that narrative back to the people to reinforce the narrative that her parents were involved in drugs, right? So that's if you kind of believe that there might be other things going on.
Yeah.
But I have, and I won't get into it now, we can get into it later and when everybody's done touching on this. I have a bit of a new theory about this case.
Is that Murphy?
Boy. New theory. Murphy? No.
Yeah, is that Murphy in the background barking?
No, it's they're different names. No Murphy, but close.
I'm just joking because it seems like in the Idaho 4 case, any dog that barks in the neighborhood is proof that Murphy's outside barking, and you can hear him in his audio because every isolated, if there's a dog barking, it's Murphy. And every version you hear there's Murphy barking. Like, you don't know that's Murphy. There's 5 dogs in that neighborhood. But anyway.
Yeah, so I don't want, I mean, I can tell it now, or I can tell you a little bit later about what I think a possibility is, that another variation of what I think could have happened. Did you want me to touch on it now?
I don't know that there's a better time to do it. I mean, because
okay,
yeah, go ahead.
All right, one's not here to go to battle with me on this, but I am going to double down that there was actually a shot, or at least one shot fired. And the reason I'm doubling down on that is because I thought that from early on that there was a gun involved. And one's argument, respectfully, is that, well, there's tons of people would have called it in. Now, let me give you my theory, and I'll tell you why that may not be the case. If police officers were at that house when shit was going down, and that was why a shot was fired, they would not want information to come out. Why were there cops hanging out with college kids late at night? And so if something was going down, and maybe if in fact Kaylee was or somebody, let's even say it could have been somebody else in the house, was involved with a police officer, and could have been common for them to stop by the house, right, after they got off work. And then they knew that there was shit going on in and around the house, and some they were there, and some shit was going down, and one or two shots were fired in the process of an event happening. Then it would make sense that MPD would not want that narrative to get out. And to tie it in with things that I've said in the past, what happens? Shots are fired. You have bullets that can be identified. It's this caliber. It's, this is where the rounds ended up. This is who was shot. And then that opens up the whole inquiry of what kind of gun was used. Oh, it was a Glock 9mm. Okay, that's what the police department used. I'm just speculating about about, but a lot of police officers use Glocks, 9mm. So that would raise a bunch of questions that, number one, MPD wouldn't want to get out, or the feds, if there was a drug trafficking task force there in the area. The school would not want that to get out, that cops were on scene before a major event happened. And so I think that the whole idea was, people would have called it in. Well, maybe people did. And there were rumors about gunshots, right? There were rumors that there was a shooting and so on and so forth. And so with all the other horse shit we've been fed, is it possible that that is something they wanted to keep out of the narrative? And so they gave the people involved, witnesses, survivors, got their marching orders, what the story was going to be, because gunshots would have been a whole other thread, a very significant thread in the case. And so I just think it's more plausible than it gets credit for, because I've heard the videos, the Linda Lane footage, and it did sound like it could have been at least one gunshot, possibly two. And if it happened earlier in the night, they would want to keep any alleged or speculative involvement of police officers away, so they have to create a new timeline. Because if let's say the information comes out that the cops were there at a certain time, or somebody came forward and said, yeah, I saw cops, an undercover car pull up at whatever time, then that would open up a bunch of more questions that the media would jump all over potentially. And so they changed the timeline, right? And they have to build everything around that timeline. And so that's kind of the basis of where I'm going with that theory.
And while I don't want to spend a lot of time giving credence to other content creators and their shows, but this is the same kind of thing, that Birdie and Phoenix were talking about the other night, which is that there's an altered timeline. And part of the thing that they pointed out was there are rules in certain areas, such as the protection of a confidential informant or national security issues, in which you're allowed to alter the timeline in order to throw off people from knowing when the CI was in the area or whatever. So to that argument, if there was police involvement, if there was a confidential informant, if there was anything like that going on, and Moscow Police Department wanted to hide their involvement and culpability, they could potentially, under some theory, legally manipulate the timeline so that they could try to avoid tipping their hat that their CI was there, or that they were there, or something was going on. And could it all fall under a legal loophole that allows them to manipulate the timeline?
And another thing too that I don't think we've discussed, I think it's actually, the more I thought about it, it's highly plausible that Bethany was actually a CI, which is why she split town and didn't return, and she was seemingly being protected from being called in, because she would have been protected. And so it seems like I don't know. I mean, that's just another plausible scenario, because why would she be not called back to give her, why it seemed like she was being protected.
Well,
Robin, you've got a lot
I will disagree with you on that point there about Bethany, Joe, because she did return to Idaho several times. There are pictures of her in Idaho, kind of vacationing with some friends at a party, at a picnic. I think it was like twice in 2023, once in 2024, and again, I believe, in 2025. So she was not as afraid as everyone wants to believe of coming back to Idaho. So, and people did know where she was. So I know there was a statement by one law enforcement official that said, oh, well, we couldn't find her. Well, you weren't looking very hard because she did actually come back there. So I don't know exactly what all is up with her, but she was not afraid to come back there because she did for social reasons. So
Right.
so it wasn't even like, so
I
as
believe
now
I
as far as being compelled to come to court,
right.
that's a whole different ball of wax than
That's the
just a
thing. I
social
think Bethany
visit.
was being protected from having to come back to court. I think
Sure.
Bethany was being protected from having to come back, and they were going to try to help her avoid being subpoenaed back in court and appearing in the trial, because I believe she did have exculpatory. That's my gut. My gut tells me Bethany Funk has exculpatory information. And for those who don't understand what exculpatory information means, it basically means that if Bethany Funk told the truth on the witness stand with the threat of perjury if she lies, and she told the truth, something that she saw that night or knows about this would lead questions to Kohberger's guilt, and therefore it would help Kohberger's case, and that's called exculpatory information. Anything that might lead a jury to question the story and the narrative is exculpatory. And I believe Ann Taylor said Bethany Funk has exculpatory information. They wanted her back on the stand. She fought it and she fought it and she fought it. She may have, to your point, Robin, come back to Idaho for social reasons, but she was avoiding being brought back legally to testify in the case, in my opinion, and she was being protected for that.
And then, yeah, good point, Robin. I didn't realize there were videos of her being back in the area, hanging out and partying and stuff. But I just saw that Essie posted that, and I remember this, the defense had a ballistics expert on there, and I had remembered that. And so I get the whole idea, like, oh, if there was a gunshot, tons of it. Maybe people did call, but they didn't want that information to get out because, if that's a whole can of worms at the school even further, even if it was an extraction operation, let's just say they had to do an emergency extraction. In other words, it was shit. They found out short notice that shit was going to go down that night, and the feds had to get them out, and there could have been something that went down in the process of an extraction, right? So I tie that in. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. There could have been something that went down in the process of an extraction, but I again, my main point is that I am not ruling out the gunshot narrative. In fact, I'm feeling more and more that it's a possibility, and it's just something that's been kind of swept to the side and hasn't been truly considered that much.
What do you think, Estes?
I think Pav would be happy to hear what you're saying, Joe, but you haven't gone to where Pav's gone. That they're saying, wait, what did he say? Oh, he thinks that they got to Maddie and Kaylee with a gun, but he's not sure actually if they got to Kaylee, but they killed Maddie with a gun, and then he said before that the gun, that he thinks the gun must have broken Kaylee's nose because the father says her lovely daughter's nose was busted. So atrocity, and now Pav has solved it apparently, showing you that Maddie and Kaylee are saying they were shot, most likely, and he's got the same assailant is responsible for Kaylee and Maddie's death because we were told is the same from Kaylee and Maddie. This Pav, he is so intelligent. He's way ahead of us, folks. But you know what? We're doing our best. Nobody can catch up to Pav, this Jay Emery guy. I'm being sarcastic. So.
I'm going to have to get an octagon for the two of you because it seems like the two of you are going. I mean, of course, it's one-sided because I don't think Pav hasn't attacked you back for a while yet. But
not for a while.
Not for a while.
Apparently, he was on my chat on the live today. Somebody said Jay Emery's on your chat today, so I didn't see his name come up, but who knows?
Watch it.
I hope he listens.
You guys are definitely going to collide, man. It's coming.
I know. That's why I'm nervous. I got to get this injury healed because I'm not training. He could be hitting the punching bag every day.
Be doing that because you're giving him the open door to call you a pussy. You got to step up, man.
By the way, I'll add this one thing about Pavarotti, and I want to caveat it again. I have no beef with Pavarotti. I think it's great that we have so many different minds looking at this case from different perspectives, because I think all of those things, like the truth might be a little bit something between all of us, right? So I don't want to.
Yep.
I'm not trying to belittle Pavarotti, but I will say, some more than one person said, "Did you watch Pavarotti's latest video?" Where he basically gets mad and says, Dylan was telling the truth all along. We were wrong. Dylan wasn't lying about anything. We got to take her on face value. What she said is true. And then I had two people tell me, did somebody get the Pav? Because how the hell did he just completely 180 himself and say, we were all wrong for 3 years. Dylan was telling the truth all along. And if you don't believe it, you can get the hell off my channel because she's telling the truth. And a lot of people are like, what the fuck just happened with Pav? Like, who got to him?
Look, I don't want him to box my ears off, but I've been saying pretty consistently for a long time, I think he's a Fed. And what do Feds do? Muddy the waters, flood the zone, right? If people assume, oh, they're only going to give information that steers away from what's really going on. Oftentimes, they give half-truths. They point to things that are plausible, because what happens is you're flooding the zone with information, and people get overwhelmed at some point with a different theory all the time. Yeah. And I understand the whole idea of pulling a thread, going, and I respect what he does in that regard. But I go by my gut instincts. And I think Estes Crime Maze may have emailed me about this, that there was some rumors that Pav was naval intelligence. Is that what you said?
Let's just say somebody, I can't prove it, so I got to be careful, or I can't right now, but somebody had thought or said that they did see that on his, I'll tell you offline. I'd be more comfortable telling you offline, but it had to do with Navy intelligence. Yeah. Possibly,
and I appreciate that. We should be careful when we're talking about other creators, and especially if we don't have the receipts to go over it real heavily. And again, for what it's worth, I just want to be clear for myself, and I've said the same thing to other people. It's like, this isn't a trash talking other YouTubers type of thing. It's a matter of we're watching what other people are saying about the case, because we want to see if they've got an idea that we didn't think of. And it was a shock in a way for me to hear Pavarotti say, hey, all along, Dylan's been telling the truth. We should have listened to her 3 years ago. And I'm like, really? Yep. Like, I got problems with Dylan. I'm sorry, but that's me. But anyways, you said earlier, Estes, that your friend might be able to come up during Idaho, and she's not going to make it, is she, for the Idaho portion, right?
Oh, she might. Let me just, I'll just message her.
Because I'm about to move to Tyler Robinson here in Charlie Kirk's situation. And unless you guys have more you want to talk about specifically about, not Pavarotti, if you want to talk about Idaho 4 anymore, do you guys have any other thoughts, that anything new that's coming up? I mean, it's amazing to me. I just spent 2.5 hours waxing along with the custody queens about Idaho 4, and they brought up a bunch of questions. Like, we have more questions today, I feel like, than we did going into the case at the very beginning. It's crazy.
Dude, great job with the custody queens, man. That was a really, really great, entertaining, interesting stream. It's interesting to get to see people that work in an official capacity with the law that have questions, because what happens with all of us, right? You always get especially when you start postulating about possibilities, different theories, you'll always get the people that, oh, that's crazy, that he pleaded guilty, et cetera, et cetera. But when you have people that are professionals in law, even if they're not criminal attorneys or defense attorneys or prosecutors, they know the basics of the law. And when they see things that don't add up, and it makes them start to question, I think it's good for other people to see that as well. That, no, you're not a crazy conspiracy theorist because you're questioning official narratives. And thanks for the shout out. We always talk about this. If it was one or two even inconsistencies that were significant, you might be able to go, well, I guess you could explain it away. But when there's so many inconsistencies, in my opinion, you cannot just explain them away.
Yeah, and maybe I maybe it's my insecurity that does this, but every time I've been blessed on this channel since doing YouTube to have had now, I think 4 or maybe 5 attorneys come on with me on this show. And there's a part of me that says, man, I'm just a freaking YouTuber. How is it that people who do law, who practice law, are taking me serious enough to step on the camera with me and not be ashamed to share the camera with me and say, no, look, you're asking legitimate questions. And I think it's like you said, it's a testament to realize that this is not just nutbag conspiracy clickbaiting assholes. There are people who are professionals who do law for a living, and they're willing to come on the channel and say, you are right. The questions you're asking is good questions, and they should have been asked. So every time an attorney steps on the show, I'm like, this is more validation. I'm not a clickbaiter. We're asking legit questions. As I said to the custody queens, mainstream media is failing us. They're no longer investigative journalists. They don't look and ask the tough questions. And so now it's becoming our job to question the narrative, because mainstream media just parrots whatever the official story is. And as they even said, the custody queens, they're working off an algorithm. Those TV stations are also going, hey, look, what do we need to do to get the most hits, the most views? We got to have certain things. And so they're doing the same shit that I'm being accused of, which is doing stuff just for the numbers. But that's exactly what the TV stations are doing now. They're focused on the narrative that makes them the most money. Anyways, like I said, every time a professional, especially a law professional, comes on and says, no, look, you're asking legit questions, it just feels like validation that what we're doing is important and it's real stuff, and it's not bullshit, you know?
It sounds like your lawyer friends are asking, and with you, Lee, of course, and our guests, they're asking often really great questions that somebody like, I hate to say it, but Joshua from Courtroom Confidential, I'd love if you ever interviewed this guy, he doesn't seem to be asking the proper questions of the Idaho 4 case, following, Nancy Grace, CIA, FBI narrative, in my opinion. And these guys need to be talked about, because we're digging in at the real truth and trying to bring transparency, and we're learning from others. I think Joshua from Courtroom Confidential, he's a smart guy. He should be taking some lessons from you guys, and maybe even a little bit from me.
Well, I'm glad. Extraterrestrial Highway just got done watching our Custody Queens video, so I'm glad you did that. That was a 2.5-hour marathon, I think. And lately I've been on a roll because I did a 2.5-hour Long Island serial killer video recently. And I'm probably going to do another freaking couple hours on Luigi Manjoni's suppression hearings that are coming up on Monday. So all of a sudden I'm becoming long-winded. And I thought I was already long-winded when I do hour shows. But anyways, let's move on a little bit to the other 2. I want to touch on 3 cases every single time. I got 5 cases I follow. I want to make it a habit to always try to touch on 3 of the cases at least. So we can come back, Estes, if your friend comes on and has questions about Idaho, we can certainly circle back.
Well, she's all over, excuse me, Lee, she's all over Charlie Kirk. That's the one she really wanted to talk about, I believe, the most, and make a statement. And hint, hint, she might be supporting Estes Crime, some of his theories. We'll see.
So Tyler Robinson, of course, is the alleged gunman in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, a major political figure. And I always caveat that we're not political. So when I talk about anything politics related, it's because it's impossible to talk about Charlie Kirk without getting into politics. It's impossible to talk about the major people following him, like Candace Owens, without getting into politics. So I don't have a slide for this, but Candace Owens recently came out, and it's making all kinds of news, that Candace Owens is saying, I've got credentials, I've got the receipts, that the French government is putting out a hit to assassinate me, possibly Tucker Carlson. Other people have come for, and I know, and at first I thought it was political theater. At first I was, but she's like, literally, you're going to hear the White House make an announcement that this has been verified, that a hit's been put out of my life. And more people are coming out saying, yeah, I've verified it. A hit has been put out on Candace's life. I don't know if it's theater or not, but that's going on. And then the slide I do have a slide on was Marjorie Taylor Greene, who many people know. And again, it's not about politics, but Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she's stepping down. She's going to leave early. She's not going to finish her term. And then they were putting pressure on her to come back. And she basically said, you want me to stay around until they kill me like Charlie Kirk? So now she is telling you that she may get assassinated because of the Charlie Kirk situation. How many people are claiming this is a all the way to the top thing, and people are getting killed and assassinated because of shit going on? And so the last thing I want to, and so I got a quote from this article that says she was responding to criticism from right-wing influencer Mike Cernovich, who said, a Georgia lawmaker who fired, and she fired back him, "Do you want me to stay until I'm assassinated like our friend Charlie Kirk?" That's all over different news sources. But the big one I wanted to share was this article right here, which is about Epstein. Because again, I've been telling you I realize everybody on this show isn't going to agree with me, and they're going to be like, DA, I don't follow you all the way on the whole. It's related to Epstein, but I really feel like a lot of what happened in this case is going to be related to Epstein. I still am sticking with it. I'm trying to get it on screen for you real quick. Let's not show the wrong fucking thing. Like one of these days, I'm going to make a really horrible mistake.
Don't say that, Lee. You're gonna, what do you call it? You're going to, what's the expression? Curse yourself.
I am going to remove. I'm going to remove this from stage long enough to get this off my screen. That way I don't make a mistake. And here we go. I'm going to blow this up, and then I'm going to put it back on screen. All right. Now this is going to be hard to read. It's a big article, but I think it's got important things I want to highlight, and then we'll open up the discussion to everything I just said. Is Candace Owens being threatened with assassination? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene really need to be afraid for her life and that she's going to get assassinated for going against Trump? And here's why the argument would be made. Judge orders expedited processing of the request for records related to the DOJ's handling of the Epstein files. The Department of Justice is facing new scrutiny over a decision to withhold the Jeffrey Epstein files earlier this year. A federal judge on Monday ordered the DOI, to expedite the process of the Freedom of Information Act requests or FOIA requests related to the Trump administration's decision in July to not release the files from the investigation of Epstein. It is DOJ, it's not DOI, because it's just that the J's are cut off. I just realized they're cutting off all the bottom of these letters. With the DOJ already facing a December 19th deadline to turn over the Epstein files, as mandated by the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the ruling would shed light on why the Trump administration reversed course on its earlier vow to release the files. A joint FBI and DOJ memo in July concluded that there was no basis to revisit the disclosure of these materials, and that in their view, it did not uncover any evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Now, what's interesting is the next couple of paragraphs. Progressive legal nonprofit, I'm going to try to, it didn't help scrolling out. Progressive legal nonprofit Democracy Forward brought the lawsuit after the Justice Department constructively denied its expedited review request regarding the internal records according to the ruling, including whether Attorney General Pam Bondi misled the American people in representing that the client list was on her desk and ready for review, and whether the Department of Justice reversed course on the decision to disclose the Epstein matter case files out of the desire to cover up the content within. Specifically, the FOIA request sought records that might show that the reported mention of Trump's name in the files prompted the reversal. Pam Bondi was all about coming forward with the Epstein files because there was connections between Epstein's and Democrats, and she was all ready to come forward. And then they went, oh shit, Trump's name's in the Epstein files as well. That's the universal translator. Pam Bondi was ready to just completely bake Democrats because there's Democratic names, Democrats representatives in the Epstein files, and she was going to use it to shame them. Look, you're in bed with a pedophile and a murderer and all these, the whole 9 yards. And then they went, oh shit, Trump's name's in there too. And then the reverse decision to not come forward with the files. That's the summary. Now all of a sudden you've got people saying that they're being killed left and right, and Trump's making threats, and all these different things are coming out in the thing. And you have to ask yourself, is this all political theater? Is this what Joe calls flooding the zone with a bunch of misinformation and none of this is true? Or is there something to this all? So I don't need to read the rest of the article. I realize it's lengthy, and as I was reading it, I was like, man, that's kind of boring reading. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I want to open up the discussion. What do you guys think's going on in the Charlie Kirk situation? Is there anything to do with Epstein, or is this all political theater? Is Candace Owens really being threatened with death? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene really being threatened with assassination? What's happening?
I think there could be a lot of people who are being threatened, but also I think there's probably people on both sides of the aisle who are threatening other people, because we don't know what all people are on that thing, from both Republicans and Democrats, who are probably all going, no, do not say anything. And who knows how they're threatening other people in order to uh, keep it quiet. So I wouldn't doubt that there are death threats circling, not just for Candace, but maybe other people. Maybe Marjorie has had, somebody kind of tell her to keep her mouth shut. I wouldn't doubt it. So yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people who want this swept under the rug and just are saying don't release anything else.
And
Well,
go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I don't trust anything the government says, so it's hard for me to really accept anything they say as real. But what I predict is going to happen is, first of all, we know that based on stuff that's come out that it's only going to be stuff that's not classified that will be released. So right there, that gives them the license to just give us breadcrumbs, and everything else will be sealed or heavily redacted.
Right.
But I think that because that'll happen, and then there'll be tons of pushback about, oh, you didn't release any information. And they already said that it's relating to national security, right? That's come out numerous times, right? It's because and it could be, everybody knows, it's out in the open that Trump was friends with Epstein, right? So they can just say, well, we couldn't release a lot of information because they're never going to admit that there was an intelligence operation, a blackmail operation, a intel agency operation. They're never going to admit that, right? So they'll say, oh, because Epstein was connected to people in powerful positions, we just can't release the information. They're never going to admit to what was actually going on. That's just my opinion. And as far as Marjorie Taylor Greene, in my opinion, everything she's doing right now could be to assist to make it appear that she's against the administration and that, oh, Trump hates her and this, that, and the other, because then that takes attention away from what's really going on and the release of the Epstein files. And many people have also stated that the whole Charlie Kirk situation was to distract from the Epstein files, right? Because that story's not going away. So what happens? A major high impact event, by far the biggest story in the world at the time. And, Candace, I'm just going to hypothesize. Like, I don't know what I feel about Candace. Part of me likes that she goes after people and she's not afraid. Part of me thinks she could be an asset, right? And in the climate of the world and what we know about the media and paid influencers, I don't put anything past anybody to be a shill for the Matrix, as I say. But it's also it's very possible that everything we're seeing is all just to distract from like a bigger picture of what's going on.
I know Jason Estes is chomping at the bit to jump in on this topic. So I want to riff on something you said, Joe, because I don't want to lose the thought. Part of me feels that Candace could very much be controlled opposition, right? She's working with, she's being controlled and handled to give just the kind of opposition that they need, but not enough to expose anything. Any leaks that she's getting is just enough leaks where they're controlling the leaks. So she always looks like she's got something that nobody else has, but it's controlled. It's the limited hangout idea, right? Which is over the head of a lot of people who are into the just simple true crime, because it starts to get political. But on top of that, I want to point out that national security thing. When they said they were going to release the Epstein files, but only with the caveat that it would be redacted for things of national security. Again, my cynical mind says this: there are people in government who will feel that it's a matter of national security to hide that your president might be involved with a pedophile or a convicted pedophile or whatever. And so in their mind, it's a matter of national security to protect our country's integrity, to not let the entire world know your president was related to somebody that did these things. And so in their mind, it's totally legitimate to cover up any involvement the president might have in anything nefarious, because it would be an embarrassment to the country that could impact world politics. People might want to not do business with America anymore. And in the interest of America's future, we can't have that kind of embarrassment come out. See what I'm saying? So you can justify covering up horrendous deeds by your commander in chief. And that's not saying Trump did anything. I'm saying it would be justified in many people's minds to cover that up, no matter what he did, in the interest of national security, to make sure America comes out always looking like the good guy. They don't do anything wrong. You can trust us. We're not sleazebags, whatever the case may be. All right, Estes, I hope that you kept your initial thought on this thing. Go for it.
This is why you're the best host, I believe, on YouTube for true crime, dude. Far and above anybody else. Brilliant analysis, Lee. DA.
Thank you. Thank you.
And same with Joe and Robin. I love your comments as well and thoughts. Before I delve into any comments myself on Charlie Kirk directly, what I think, and Candace Owens, and I love how you brought up that you think she's controlled opposition, DA. I totally agree. And as I say, I might just get a shirt one day that says Candace Owens, Queen of the Limited CIA Hangout. So I hope she doesn't get off YouTube anytime soon. But Rosie's asking my friend how she can get on a phone call. She's very frustrated right now. She just doesn't know how to do this. DA or Robin, if you could give me any words of encouragement to maybe how she makes the call or gets on screen to discuss briefly.
So in the chat, if she can see the chat, there's a link I just posted. It's a
Thank
URL.
you.
Hopefully she can copy that. If she puts that in a browser on her phone, it'll use her phone's microphone and camera to make the connection. All she has to do is follow that link, and it'll put her backstage.
Thank you very much. Hopefully she heard you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did you have any other thoughts about the whole Candace Owen, Marjorie Taylor Greene? Are people being threatened with assassination? Is it related to the Epstein thing? Or is it all public theater to make us look the other way on something?
I think it's all political theater, most likely. But as Robin says, it could be very well possible that some of these people may be getting threats. I hope not. But I think most of them are just trying to make themselves out to be a martyr. And again, are totally controlled from the establishment. And so they have, and it shows that some of us are putting pressure. Not necessarily me, I'm not big enough yet, but I think they still listen maybe. But a lot of us are putting pressure on some of these people as we're trying to bring truth again and transparency to these important cases. And, we're just simply telling the truth of what we see from corporate media and the likes of Candace Owens. Are they lying and deceiving us? It sure as hell seems that way to me. So we put pressure on these people, and then they have to change their behavior and now have to start saying, oh my God, I'm getting threats, So I'm glad sometimes we make them feel the pressure. And I think Candace Owens is a beautiful, vivacious woman, as I've said. I just got a lot of questions for her, and I think it's quite logical to think that she works in some capacity for the intelligence agencies, as Joe from the State of the Deep, what he's all about. I think he's on the same wavelength on that, which is good. Sorry, I'm pointing at you, Joe. Hope you don't mind.
I don't mind. I wanted
Good,
to
man.
just comment on that. Another, again, possibility is that she was very involved with Turning Point. So if there was an operation coming down the pike, right?
Yeah.
She could have been part of, again, hypothetical speculation. She could have been part of it. So
For sure.
if there were bigger things going on in the background, money related things, direction of where they wanted to steer things and narratives they wanted to push, she could have been involved in that all along. And so her role was, after the fact, she's the dedicated friend who won't give up, and she's going to keep investigating. I always keep those things in mind, even if I wish sometimes I was just like black and white, but I always weigh the different sides of things, because it's about possibilities. Since we don't have the answers now, we have to look at the big picture, and that's what Deep Devils has kind of done. Delve into the other things, bigger picture, big money, big power, intelligence agencies. This is a major event that with massive amounts of money and power attached to it.
And it's funny because you know, Joe and I, you know, when we were talking about the Charlie Kirk situation in the first place and whether or not I should follow it and whether it's in my vein, and he's like, dude, this is the biggest story out there right now. And we talked a lot about Candace Owens, and it was like, look, if you're following the case, you have to know everything Candace Owens is saying. She's the leading voice. And the more I got to thinking about, the more I got uncomfortable that everyone takes their talking points from Candace Owens. And if Candace is saying, I've got all this, I got these bombs, every single day I've got some new thing that I'm the only one who says, I'm like, that's a controlled opposition. That's the person who's being fed exactly what they want everyone to hear. And if everyone takes their talking points from her, then we're all just repeating her narrative.
I like that. Yeah,
I'm not saying Candace is that. What I'm saying is my alarm bells start going on if we're all getting our talking points from one person, because now I realize all you got to do is control one person, and then everyone is taking their talking points from her, and everyone's controlled, right? So there's that part of me that just automatically starts to resist her. The more everybody makes her the primary person that you have to know everything she says, and that's just my nature.
And you know? The reason I say that is not because I think everything a given person in a particular case, what they're saying is true. It's because if you want to know what the CIA is up to, you got to know what narratives are getting pushed.
Yes.
And so
Right. Yeah,
it could be that as well. So when someone is like becomes the voice of a case, I'll listen to them, because you have to know what narrative shaping is going on. Not because I think, oh, I never take anything anybody says as the truth. You know, I always question everything.
Right.
What you guys are saying reminds me of that guy Pav to do with the Idaho 4. A lot of us, we go to him to listen to what he said, right? Keep that in mind.
To be fair, I would like to say I don't take my talking points from any other creator. I try to do my own talking points, but that's just me.
Good, good.
But by the way, I'm going to give you 2 seconds of trivia. It was funny when you were pointing at Joe and said, "Hey, I'm pointing at you." Trivia. Here's trivia. I learned Bill Clinton used to point at people like this with his thumb. And because it's less offensive when you put your finger in someone's face, it intimidates them. And so Bill Clinton would direct you, and he'd point with his thumb like this, because they taught him it's less offensive, it's less attack. And so it's funny when you were like, I started to point at you, I'm like, just do the Bill Clinton move. It's
okay.
You just talk. you keep your hand close to your chest, and you point like this with your thumb, and that way they know what you're talking about. But it's less offensive than in your face, I'm going to stab you in the face.
Well, DA, if I may point to you, Rosie, she's going by her real name, Annette. If you happen to see her, to talk, to get her on camera or phone call there. Okay, just let you.
Looking, I haven't seen anybody attempt to connect. So I'm going to put the link one more time in here. We are going to kind of move past Charlie Kirk briefly, but we can come back to Idaho 4. We can come back to Charlie Kirk before we're done, because I believe in having open questions and answers and open mic and all that stuff. So let me move on to another topic real quick, and we'll come back to finish up with open questions, and hopefully your friend comes on during the open questions. Sure. The next thing I want to share is from current slide. Yeah, I don't even think we need to show slides on this. I just need to show the news articles. So I'm excited about this. People who follow my channel and have been following my channel for a while have been upset with me because DA never even cares about Luigi Manjon anymore. And I've told people over and over again, Luigi Manjon is one of the most important cases in America, in my opinion, but there just hasn't been a lot to talk about. Oh my God, there is huge things to talk about. I'm probably going to make a long form video about this tonight and maybe post it tomorrow, although again, Thanksgiving in America, so I don't know if the timing's great on it, but listen to this. On LuigiManjoniInfo.com, this is Luigi Manjoni's official website held by his attorneys. There is litigation starting on Monday, the 1st of December. It's going to last for 3 days. I think it's December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Mark Ignifilo, Karen Ignifilo are going to be in the state case. Luigi Manjon is facing 3 different jurisdictions, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on his arrest as well. And there's your friend Estes. She's backstage right now, so we'll bring her up in just a moment. Luigi Mangioni's facing the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He's facing state charges, the state of New York versus Luigi Mangioni, and he's facing the federal government, the United States versus Luigi Mangioni, and the Southern District of New York. So he's got 3 different jurisdictions. Karen Agnifilo is fighting for Luigi Mangioni in 2 jurisdictions simultaneously, the state of New York and in the Southern District of New York as well. And here's the big deal. I've been telling you for I have so many long form video. Why am I small screen right now? I should probably come up close for a rant so I can point it. I'm going to Bill Clinton your ass with the freaking finger right here. But the point being is that I said I got that arrest in Pennsylvania was illegal. Thomas Dickey filed a 40-page motion showing how that arrest was illegal. They interrogated and detained Luigi Mangioni for over 17 minutes before they read him his Miranda rights. They illegally stopped him. They searched illegally his bag. They repacked his bag and then told him he was under arrest, and then inventoried his bag for a second time in these. There's a million things wrong with the arrest. A million things wrong with the arrest. And Thomas Dickey laid it out. But Commonwealth of Pennsylvania refused to rule on it. Then it goes and the feds, he gets extradited. Actually, it was the state that extradited him to New York for murder charges. Then the feds swooped in and took him. I know it's convoluted. And at some point, they started bringing all the evidence that they found on him during an illegal arrest in Pennsylvania, in my opinion, 100% illegal arrest. And they're using it as the evidence against him in the case of New York and the state and the federal government. And I'm like, how are you using evidence that hasn't even been ruled on if it's legal? Well, here's the exciting, weird shit that I just learned. I just got educated, and I'm going to educate you now. I thought to myself, how are we having suppression hearings on Monday in Luigi Mangioni's case about whether or not the evidence will be allowed in trial when it hasn't been ruled on in Pennsylvania? Well, here's the thing. New York does have the sovereignty. They've extradited him, and they in New York will be ruling whether or not the arrest in Pennsylvania was legal or not. I didn't even think they could do that. I thought Pennsylvania had to rule on whether or not it was legal or not. New York's going to decide whether or not Pennsylvania's arrest was legal or not. And it's going to be huge, because if you know anything about Karen Agnifilo, she's masterful at reminding judges about what the law says. And I guarantee you it was an illegal arrest. And so it's gonna be interesting. And Judge Caro, who's going to be making the ruling after 3 days of suppression hearings, has already made a monumental decision in Luigi's favor, which is to say this is not an act of terrorism. You can't use terrorism against Luigi Mangioni, so you can't go after first-degree murder, and you must take first-degree murder off the table. And a lot of people were stunned, like, wow, a judge just had the balls to actually say this isn't a first-degree murder charge, this isn't an act of terrorism. And yeah, he's known as being a guy who's fair on that, and he does not like judicial or law enforcement overstepping. So I'm really, really curious / excited to see how it pans out. And again, let me make one thing clear. This is not me rooting for a bad guy to get away with it. Some of you out there are going like, look, Luigi Mangioni killed Brian Thompson. He should go down. All I can say about that is you cannot do it illegally. You cannot violate someone's constitutional rights, their civil liberties, and just toss the rule book out because you know he's a bad guy, so you're going to make him go down. That is against the law. If you're going to prosecute somebody by the law, then follow the fucking law. That's my point. Follow the law. You cannot violate the law while trying to put somebody away for breaking the law. So that's my point. If he's the bad guy, he's the bad guy, but do it legal and do it right. So that's my.
I agree, DA. I agree with you. But if I may say, I think a lot of these anomalies in the case of Luigi, as you say, violating his rights left, right, and center, so many ways to Sunday, just like the Idaho 4, I believe, in some ways, it shows, I believe, it's an operation. As Joe has talked about many times, a deep operation, not as simple as just the Luigi with screws in his back and he's so disgruntled that he's going to take out a CEO, and he just happens to know where the time the CEO is going to get out of the building, this meeting, and then he's going to have a burner. He was on his burner phone. If you believe it was really Luigi, who the hell was he calling?
Right. That's, I mean, I've got lots of videos. As I jokingly say, he wasn't calling in a pizza just before going to kill somebody. So who was he on the phone with? You're not about to kill somebody and then you're going to go, hey mom, I'm busy right now. I got to go kill somebody. Like, that phone call was to somebody. Right. And so one has to ask, is there a perpetrator? Is there another perpetrator? Is there another suspect? Was he working with somebody? Because that phone call isn't calling in a pizza, as I often say. And so just real quick on screen, there's this article. I won't cover it in depth so we can move on and take a live caller and stuff like that. But the suspect in the United Healthcare CEO murder, Luigi Manjoni, faces key pre-trial hearings on evidence admissibility. That's what's coming up. This is the paragraph. A cornerstone of next week's hearing, that's on Monday, is a map hearing aiming to determine if the evidence found during the search of Manjoni's backpack at the time of his arrest is admissible. That's what the hearings are going to be about starting on Monday. It is now, let me make sure you understand if you haven't been following the case. The case doesn't get thrown out if it was an illegal arrest. Some of you think, oh, Luigi Manjoni walks if they don't have the gun and they don't have the confession letter and they don't have his journal and they don't have, his false ID. If all that shit gets to be determined inadmissible, he walks. No, he does not. No, he does not. So Luigi Manjoni is still going to go to trial. It's going to significantly hurt their case. There's no question about it. Law enforcement is going to have an uphill battle to prove things if they just lost the weapon, the confession letter, and all the other things they say that they have. So it is going to be a blow, but don't get any mistaken belief that there's in 3 days, Luigi Manjoni walks out of there because they're going to determine that it was an illegal arrest and he walks. That's not how that's going to go down. But it is monumental because the case will be much, much more circumstantial without the stuff that they have. And again, some of you will be very confused. Well, wait a minute. If he did have the gun on him, then he's the killer. So I don't care how they got it. Well, I know it's nuanced, so we'll just put that aside for now. All right. Any other questions before I get our guest up here to talk? I think more Charlie Kirk and Idaho 4 taking us backwards. Any Luigi Manjoni comments from the chat or from you guys here on the panel?
I wanted to just say, because I've said it numerous times, in my opinion, this is the most obvious intelligence operation of any of the cases we've seen. I think that Luigi was recruited by the CIA or he was working directly for the CIA.
Whoa.
And he's an actor. He is, that's his task. He's the good looking guy. He's ripped. He's gonna, he's this Ivy League kid, and he's going to be like the Robin Hood of the 21st century. I think that I can only speculate as to who was behind it, because I believe the CIA works for the banking cartel. I don't believe they work for national security. I think it was about business things. It was about money related things. And the CEO is going to be taken out, and they want to give the public their pound of flesh, like, meaning not the guy that they arrested, the pound of flesh being the evil CEO. So we're going to placate the citizens because they're never going to change the profit margins of the health insurance because they're giving a lot of money to the government and to candidates as donors. So this is one theory that I'm dead firm on. I think Luigi was recruited. He's the pretty face. He's the perfect patsy. The public can get behind, and it's going to make people forget about how they're being screwed by corporations and the banking cartel and the insurance industry, because they're all connected. And I think whoever was in that video, the video was perfectly staged of the guy who did it, who was calm as a cucumber under pressure. He got a jam and he cleared the jam like no problem. So I don't even have any doubt in my mind. That's my theory, and nothing will change my opinion about that, because it's all a game. It's all about manipulating the public. They're never going to crack down on the oligarchs and the bankers ever.
Yeah, and along that lines, although we don't have time to try to explain, because whenever I say something like that, I try to help the audience understand the why. Like, if it was that, if he's a CIA, why? And here's what the scenario would be. And I usually like to try to explain to people why the CIA would be involved in that. Why would they hire Luigi Manjoni, or why would they hire a hitman and use Luigi Manjoni? Like, why? Why is the case? What's the end goal? So I often try to do that. But I will say, early in this case, I when I saw some major blunders being made, I thought to myself, are they purposely trying to lose this case? Like, is there any scenario in which they had this guy as the patsy and they're actually purposely trying to lose the case?
Sure.
They've made some major blunders, and it would be easy to go, hey, it's not our fault, man. He just got away with it. And maybe it was all, that was part of the plan in the first place. They were purposely planning to lose this case. I know that sounds nuts, and that's going to be the subject of other videos, but it's something I entertain. And I still have a whole section on my website, Follow the Money, that talks about the Department of Justice investigation into United Healthcare and their predatory practices. They were under investigation and they cashed out a bunch of money. Again, too much to cover tonight. Let's bring our guest up on screen. We are now able to move into any territory our guest takes us. So let's pull this off and see what happens. And how are you doing for our guest? Is that Annette?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
What do you have for Jason Estes warned me you're going to give it to me with both barrels, and I better be prepared.
So I've known Jason for years. So me and Jason have been talking back and forth, and you guys have talked about Charlie Kirk and all of this stuff. Some people think he's dead. Some people think he's alive. I personally, in my opinion, think he's alive. He's been seen in an airport. He's been seen with his wife. The whole thing was staged. The guy that was charged for shooting him was not the shooter. I'm telling you right now, it was one of his security guards, and that's my opinion.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because I have not seen yet, and I'm not questioning you, I have not seen yet photos alleging that Charlie Kirk's been seen after his shooting. So I'd love to see some receipts on that, if you're willing to send me links or anything like that, because I'd love to put those up on screen sometime and actually kind of talk about it and get other people's opinion. Is this what we see? Is this Charlie Kirk? Is he still alive? I mean, I know Estes keeps saying all the time, look, Charlie Kirk's alive and well, and he's somewhere on a beach sipping a Mai Tai, and everything's fine with their family, and this is all theater. But I would certainly like to see those things. And so again, I'm not baiting you into anything. If you've got anything, I'd love to see it and be able to put those up and talk about it.
Send it to Jason.
Okay, yes, that would be great. And then
I'll
Jason can bring it on. And
he's been spotted many times. Lee, he's been spotted.
Yeah.
And I've been telling Jason I'm coming out full force. There's no way Charlie Kirk is dead. I've watched that video over and over and over again. I'm in the same opinion as Jason. The Freedom shirt was gone. There were numerous people. There was a trapdoor in the floor, like in the ground. There's no way. Charlie Kirk is alive. He's sitting on a beach. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's not something that we don't take as a serious possibility in the case. I mean, I would say that I personally lean towards it. He did get killed, but you're right. I've seen the same things you did, like the mysterious changing, shirt that all of a sudden doesn't have the word on it. You're like, what the fuck happened there? Like, there's a lot of questions that make you go, what did we just really see? So I get it. I do.
No blood anywhere,
right,
on anybody.
Yeah, right. No, I get it. I do. I get it.
I love how Annette is full of conviction. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. I love it. And she's right on the money, I believe.
So let's talk as a panel. I mean, Robin, let's go through the panelists. Robin, what do you think? Do you give credence to, Charlie Kirk's been spotted, he's alive and well, out and about, and this whole thing is, and what about those things like the shirt that changes or the lack of blood? Do you think it's possible he's still alive?
I think there is a possibility that he could be alive. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, if you take things like, I would like to apologize for my cat for a moment. The wind here is crazy and he's freaking out. So sorry, guys. So, you have things like he's lying in the coffin, supposedly, and his hands, I'm sorry, they just look really weird. You have some pictures where it looks like he might be wearing a blood pack. None of the guys that are helping him have any blood on them. I mean, with the way that blood came gushing out of his neck, I mean, those guys would have at least on their hands, if nowhere else. So there is some credence to that. Now, until we see some pictures, or someone credible comes forward and says, yeah, guess what? I just, I saw Charlie, what was it, last week or whatever. That's the problem, is that we need some kind of proof that way. And I hope that if he is alive, I both hope we get that and kind of hope not, because I would like to keep him safe, I guess, but just on a human level. So
He'll be
here's
safe.
the problem.
Trust.
my thought process with that.
Here's the problem I have with the photo evidence, and it's the same problem I have in the Luigi Manjoni case. I'm telling you, Jake Gyllenhaal is the killer. I mean, the guy that checked into the hotel, at the hostel, I should say, looks like Jake Gyllenhaal more than it looks like Luigi Manjoni, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So where I'm going at that is, and Joe said, I could have sworn I saw a girl that looked like Kaylee Gonzalez here in Denver. The problem is that there's a lot of people who look like other people, a lot. And we get pulled into doppelgangers all the time. There's a lot of people. So you need to have more than just a photo. And I'm not saying that we don't here, but you need to have more. You have to have the receipts. Not only do I have this photo, but here's the flight that says Charlie Kirk came in on this day that he was there. Here's where he was at 2:00, and here's a photo of him at 3:00 on the corner. Then you got receipts, right? Because I can take a random photo of a lot of people and make it look like that and spin a whole story. Here it is. There's the proof. You just saw him in a picture. A lot of times it's grainy or whatever. So I'd be super, super skeptical. I want to see it. Don't get me wrong. I want to see any photos that suggest that Charlie Kirk's been photographed. But I need to also, for me, have it with receipts. Do we know he was there? Is there any way we can place him there that says not only does this photo look like him, but we have proof that he was in the area at that time, and that probably is him. That would be the coup de grace, right? Just get it nailed down. So yes, I want to see the pictures. Yes, I want to talk about the discussion, but I personally want to see receipts behind it as much as possible. What else? So Estes, what do you think? I mean, we know what you think. He's definitely on the beach somewhere sipping Mai Tais, but give it
absolutely. And I would love for all of us, or some of us at least, to go to New Zealand and see if we happen to see Kirk in New Zealand, because of any country, I believe he'd be in New Zealand, partly because Kash Patel, remember the FBI director, said, Kirk is my friend and we'll see you in Valhalla. And Valhalla, of course, is a saying in New Zealand to say to people that have died, in an act of courage and bravery, amazing people. And so I think they was telling you, because apparently Valhalla, there's a place in New Zealand, it's on Goat Island, and the so-called shooter that you love to talk about, rightly so, DA, Tyler Robinson, he's going to, Tyler Robinson, right? Yeah, he's going to go to court, apparently, and he was seen a photo, I believe it was from FBI, you guys could easily double check this, and he was seen in front of his computer also with Goat Island in New Zealand. Sometimes they put it right in front of your face, the intelligence agencies, and they don't think you're going to connect it. But we're connecting the dots here. And if anybody can prove that Kirk was at an airport and get real good receipts, it's that lady right there. I'm pointing at, here's the right point right there.
The bill. First of all, what you say at times makes me rigid with excitement.
Rigid with excitement. I love it.
And where I'm going with that is, if you've got a picture, sorry, I can't.
How rigid?
I mean, pretty rigid. I mean, you get older, it's not as rigid as it used to be. But anyways,
oh my goodness.
All right, enough. Wait a minute. I need to put I'm blushing. Anyways, the point being is that if you've got a picture, of Tyler Robinson with Goat Island on the screen, we need to show that on a show. Like maybe you've done it on a long form video. Have you done it on a long form video yet and shown it?
I never have, DA. The photo is out there for sure. I've seen it, but I've never put it on in any of my videos or lives, and I would like to sometime.
He was not
especially on this show.
I'm telling you that right now. He was not the shooter. It was one of the security guards. This was all staged. There's pictures out there. I will send them to Jason. I'm telling you, Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, is alive. His wife knows he's alive. Trump knows he's alive. Everybody knows he's alive.
And I'll say this. I will say this. I will say this. I agree with you in my gut that Tyler Robinson's not the shooter. That part we 100% agree on. Now, whether or not Charlie Kirk is dead or not, we might not agree with it, because I personally think Kirk's dead, but I do agree Tyler Robinson's not the shooter. However, I'm open-minded, and we need to hear from Joe. Joe, State of the Deep, is is Charlie Kirk alive and well, or is that a possibility in your mind? Or what do you think?
Well, I got a lot on this for Annette. So first I'm gonna say right out of the gate that I think it was an operation of some sort. I'll get that out of the way. But I will push back on one thing, and then I'm going to steel man your argument that he's still alive. Charlie Kirk would not be flying on a regular flight if he was anywhere. He would be flying private. That's just that little thing. That's my opinion on that. But I'll steel man Annette's argument. If Charlie Kirk was alive, it would explain, first of all, Tyler Robinson, this is an operation. He was recruited by the CIA through the school that he was going through that had a CIA program in that school, the CAI program at Utah State. That's my opinion about Tyler Robinson. He was working for the CIA. Now, I'll steel man that Charlie Kirk being alive. It would explain a lot of behaviors of the people. It would explain his wife's behavior. It would her odd behavior. It would explain a lot of people that seem to be almost like acting about how upset they were that he was killed. Like it seemed very performative. And it would also explain, in my opinion, if Charlie started coming out speaking about things like the Epstein files and about foreign influence in our country, and he was going to leave the cause, the pro-Israel cause, right? Openly stated that stuff. And then, well, he questioned it. And then text messages came out after the fact that he has no choice but to leave the Israel cause, right? That could all be just laying the groundwork to create a narrative that that's why he was taken out. So if he was, in fact, taken out on an extraction operation and he isn't still alive, that would explain him coming out against and speaking out against these things that were going on with the Epstein files and with October 7th and with Israeli influence in America, things like that. So that would, in my opinion, support the idea that they were just going to create an operation that had many facets to it, which we'll probably never know how far and wide it goes, but big money was involved. We know that. And so there could have been, these guys play 4D chess. It could have been a long-term play that Charlie was aging out of his base, college age kids, right? He was 30, I believe, or 31, right? That he was aging out. So they needed to sort of phase him out of the picture. Again, I'm just speaking of the fact that it's multifacets to operations. So in that regard, I can run with the extraction, but as far as him being spotted at airports, I just don't think he would be, unless they wanted him to be seen at airports so they would stir up a bunch of shit, because that's another way of flooding the zone. But if it was legit, Charlie had a lot of money, and if he was extracted, it would have been a really high level operation, and he would have been flying private, if anything, in my opinion. But Annette, I think there's definitely legs to the theory.
So what do you think about our panel's response to your suggestion?
I still stick to what my opinion is. Charlie is alive. His wife knows it. They've been spotted. I'll send pictures to Jason, and then we'll discuss this again.
Absolutely. So I appreciate the thought. Jason, you were true to your word. She's strong, opinionated, and like, I'm going to tell you how it is. The guy's still alive. I got photos. I can prove it. And I dig that. I think it's a great conversation to have. I heard that you have thoughts on Idaho 4. You want to share some of those?
So I never heard of this story until I started watching you guys through Jason, and I was like, what is this story? So Jason gave me a little bit of backstory, and then I started looking into it myself. I'm in the same opinion as a lot of people. I think they're all alive. I think they were extracted. I think they're alive.
Oh shit, Jason, I can see why you guys have a relationship going there, because the two of you are like, it's all an extraction cover-up operation. Nobody died.
Fucking right.
Listen,
Fucking
Jason's known me for many years, Lee. I don't hold my punches back. I'm a natural redhead. I'm a freedom fighter. I don't hold my punches back at all.
Yeah,
Zach, I might need you in the corner when I box the shit out of Pavarotti if I can get this injury healed anytime soon, that is. No offense, Pav.
Jason, I'll box him for you.
There you go. Thank you. I might need you.
Well, I appreciate you giving your thoughts and discussion topics on those things. And yeah, I mean, you know, if you've watched me at all anytime, you know that I shy away a little bit from the extraction operations, but we entertain them and we give them space on here. Sometimes to my own detriment. I tell Robin sometimes, I'm like, you know what, if somebody dials in, they're going to hear 3 straight days of us talking about it's an extraction operation. That's not even my theory. Like, sometimes I have to like, hold back, guys. Can we have a day or two of not talking about how it was an extraction? Because I don't even believe that's what happened necessarily. But again, I give it legs. And like I said, on the Idaho case, the more I start to listen to and open my mind to it, the more I'm like, man, some of that would make perfect sense. That there was a hit on the house, a drug-related hit. Did somebody get extracted to avoid the hit? Did they lie about people that died so that they could protect them? Because if the killer thinks they're dead, then they won't go after them anymore. Like, what is that even a possibility? And sure.
Remember Maddie, if she was extracted, DA, and guess, Maddie, again, Christy, we played the clip. Hopefully Annette saw it. Maddie just bought a new house, and everybody's thinking, why would she cut herself off? As DA said too, when you're going to say Maddie just bought a new house, very odd. And then she leaves the interview, probably calling her lawyer, in my opinion, looked like that. Robin had her say on it as well. Very, very interesting, you know?
Like I told you, Jason, what parents go on and don't cry that their child is gone? I'm a parent, and if my child was killed, I'd be bawling my eyes out for months.
Exactly.
And months.
There is I admit there's a lot of reactions. Now we always caveat this. Everybody grieves differently, but there's a lot of reactions by the families that don't make sense. There's one family that seems to lead the charge in being on TV every second they could possibly get, and they're super vocal, but the rest of the families all lay low. When you do finally, after 3 years, get to see some of the families, they're almost laughing and smiling about it, and you wonder, what the hell is going on here? Like, is that, but again, everybody grieves differently, and all those different things you can caveat. But yeah, there's a lot of things that send off red flags for people who've been studying the case for a long time. Having said all that, guys, it's about time. You know, I'm on some painkillers. Wife says maybe I had too many painkillers today when they did the whole rigid with anticipation or excitement. So she's like, cut it off. Get off the air before you embarrass yourself. So I just wanted to say thank you to all my panelists. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving in America. Thank you all for joining us on the night before. Many of you in America are already traveling or making your travel plans. For those of you in America who are having Thanksgiving, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We were going to take the night off on this show tomorrow, the panelists, so that they don't feel pressured to be like, oh shit, DA wants me to go here and do this, but I got a family dinner to go to. Like, everybody just take the freaking night off. We'll take the night off. We'll come back on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, as usual. And again, Custody Queens and I had a great video today, 2 hours about Moscow, Idaho, daytime, nighttime footage. That nighttime footage was Joe and I driving Moscow. Daytime footage is my wife and I driving around in Moscow. Great footage, never seen before footage that was aired today from my Moscow trip in the morning. And again, we've still got footage you've never seen with Joe and I, because that's still back behind the scenes stuff, because I've got 5 cases that I cover, and it's a lot to do, and we're always busy. And then Sunday, the Custody Queens will also be airing that same video that you can watch now. I'm going to premiere it with them, meaning I'm going to go in there and talk to their audience live in the chat. And then I will maybe show it one more time as a premiere with both the Custody Queens and myself on Monday, so that you can have a chance to talk to us and give live questions and answers while the video is going. Other than that, guys, you guys have a great, whatever you're doing.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
Americans.
Thanksgiving. DA, people in the chat are calling for our theme song.
Oh, what are they calling for pretty much?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna play us out with I'll play us out with pretty much a super offensive song. By the way, when Joe and I went, we noticed that everybody in Idaho really is super nice. Joe even said it. Man, people here are super nice. My wife went there. She's like, you know what? People in Idaho are super nice. Dylan thinks that everyone in Idaho is super nice. With that, everybody, we'll stick her on. We'll say goodnight. Wave goodnight one more time, guys. We'll stick her up on the stage.
Thanks, Annette.
And thank you so much.
Is it real or just a dream? Can I tell you what I've seen? Pretty much at 4 a.m. a man appeared in front of me. I don't recall a single thing. I'm so lost inside my mind. No one answers when I ring. Was it real or just a lie? Can I tell you what happened? Pretty much at 4 a.m. something happened. Pretty much, I don't know what happened. Pretty much, everyone is super nice. My friends were home, but I'm not sure. I went straight past and left her there. When I saw her lying on the floor, I ran away, but I wasn't scared. I don't recall a single thing. I'm so lost inside my mind. No one answers when I ring. Was it real or just a lie? Can I tell you what happened? Pretty much at 4 a.m. something happened. Pretty much, I don't know what happened. Pretty much, everyone is super nice. No one's answering. I'm really confused. I'm not remembering. Please, may I be excused? It wasn't like anything was wrong. I don't know if this is real or not. She danced with the dog and sang a song. What happened? I don't know. I forgot. I don't recall a single thing. I'm so lost inside my mind.